Hi hand readers, today's number 8 in my series on what to look at when we assess people's thumbs, and there are over 10 criteria to look at, and I'll be covering all of them in due course. I've spoken so far about club thumbs, angles of confidence, the individual phalange lengths, the actual length of the thumb itself. I've spoken about whether the thumbs are high or low set, about the straightness or bent, the bendiness of the thumb, and now today we're going on to are they thick or thin. Quick introduction, my name's Jennifer, I'm based in Johannesburg. I've written 4 books about palmistry, chirology, hand reading and hand analysis. You'll find all the info below. And this year I'm bringing out a very exciting book. It's my 5th book. It's all about the special signs and markings that one hears about in terms especially of the old traditional Indian and Gypsy palmistry, but more on that later in the year. As we already know, or those of you who've been watching so far this particular series, we know that the thumb is the ruler of the hand, and the relative thickness or thinness is definitely going to link into the thickness or thinness of the person's general fingers. It would be very unlikely to find thin fingers and a thick thumb, or a thin thumb and thick fingers. So the way to do this is to look at the thumb from the nail side upwards, so you're looking down at your thumb. And when I say the ruler of the hand, all of these various criteria that we assess, that we evaluate, that we cross-reference, are really going to talk about the person's strength of character in essence. Of course, many other character traits and so on get into the mix of whether the person has a strong thumb or a particularly weak thumb, and then how to modify those, how to counsel and coach the people with regards to those particular areas of their lives. So again, we cannot really measure the thickness of a thumb, but this is where that intuitive faculty comes into the mix. One really just looks at the thumb and gets a sense of a certain heaviness, a sausage-like quality perhaps, or a general breadth of the thumb. And this is a person who delights in the senses. Fat thumbs are definitely one of the possible signs of hedonism in the person. As I've so often mentioned, we've got the redeemed and the unredeemed, the positives and the negatives. And the positives are very much around practicality, around a forthright, rather direct, rather honest and upfront approach to life. They're pragmatic, they're capable, that is, they being the owner of such a thumb. But then on the less redeemed, the less fabulous side, we've got here a person who might be very greedy, they might be very determined to get what they want, and in fact often do get what they want. There's a certain obstinacy, especially if the thumb is also straight. And we've got here some sort of possible uncouth qualities, unrefined qualities in the person. And if it's short and fat, then we could even find if the person's got an aggressive streak. So really, how does one deal with a person like this? As blunt and forthright as they are, you'll find that one of the themes that might emerge with people with thick thumbs and with their thick fingers that go with it is that there's a resistance to or some lack of self-enquiry. There's some element in the person of really just, and when I say pragmatic, they just want to get on with the job of living. They're not that interested in self-inspection. They're not that interested in excavation. So that would be a good topic to inquire with them and say, from what I see in your hands, I see that you're not that familiar with self-enquiry. What is it like for you to explore a little bit deeper, perhaps into your formative influences, into the reasons why it is that you tend towards excess? That's a possible counseling theme for people with thick, fat thumbs. When we come to thin thumbs, especially if they're also long, we've got a person who is more philosophical than they are practical. It's completely the reverse, the flip side of the fat thumb. People with thin thumbs and thin fingers that go with them, they find that things in life are quite threatening. So there's a sensitivity that can be extremely acute. So this might be the person who fits into the archetypal profile of perhaps the healer, the poet, the mystic, the spiritual seeker, and they are the dreamer in a sense as well. These people appreciate fine quality, they are more aesthetic, they're innately elegant, they are not going to be a greedy person, they are more interested perhaps in fastidiousness and cleanliness. They might find that life overwhelms them and that they need a lot of alone time. So an inquiry that would be quite helpful perhaps for the person with particularly thin thumbs is to talk to them about their sensitivity, is to talk to them about what threatens them in life and why it is that they have this acute sensitivity. So there's always a theme, there's always something that you can approach it with. It's not just And when I say it, I'm saying when we read hands, we're not reading just to tell people about themselves. The purpose is really a deeper inquiry as to what's really going on in their lives and how best we can support them. So for those people with very thin thumbs, perhaps it's all about affirming their sensitivity. And then while I'm on the topic of thick or thin thumbs, there's also this question of a thumb that is wasted in the middle. In other words, it curves inward, and that could be spelled W-A-S-T-E-D or W-A-I-S-T-E-D. I prefer the latter, as in a waist, and this is popularly in palmistry linked to a person who is tactful with the spoken word. That's one of the common meanings, and also there's a love of small animals, little pets, and that's I find quite accurate in my readings. In next week's video, I'll talk about spoke-shaved thumbs, thumbs that look like a door wedge from the side and what that might mean. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye.